Hey there, how are you? Ooh, I'm so glad you're here because this is for all of you pregnant women out there that are looking for more information about midwives and doulas. And if you are looking for that type of information, you're in the right place because today's episode of Apothecary Wisdom is all about giving you an overview of the crucial distinctions and differences between the different types of midwives, obstetricians, and doulas. And it's with my work with the birth community. I've worked with the birth community for many years, and it has become abundantly clear to me that the general public just doesn't know about the important distinctions between these care providers and their scopes of practices and the services that they provide. And so here you are pregnant and you're going to make some decisions. So knowing the scope of practice of the birth professional that you're about to hire is going to make you be informed, and so you can make realistic birth choices, so you can be realistically prepared about your upcoming care and ultimately your upcoming birth. And so my name is Maria Chaudhry. If this is our first time meeting, I'm so glad you're here. I'm a midwife. I'm a licensed midwife and a certified professional midwife. And this is a live video, and if some of that intro sounds familiar, we tried to do it last week, and we're doing it again because of the internet. And this is a live video. It's being streamed on Facebook and on Instagram, and this is an important conversation. So throughout this whole video, I'm going to be asking you questions, and I'm really encouraging you to chime in and to leave your comments and your input and do your hearts and do your thumbs up and all that stuff, because this conversation needs to be had with us and in our birth communities, right? And those of you that are watching later, you can just go ahead, and if you're watching it on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud, just push like on this video and subscribe to our channel, especially if you like videos about birth and herbs, women's empowerment, spirituality from a midwife and herbal perspective. Okay, and if this is our first time meeting, I am Maria Chaudhry, and I'm a midwife. I'm a licensed midwife and a certified professional midwife. And I started attending births as a capacity as a licensed midwife in 2004, but started attending births originally in 2001 when I enrolled in Arkansas Midwife School and Services. It was a 2-year academic program with a 3-year apprenticeship. And it was perfect for me because I had the structure of an academic program with timelines and classmates and deadlines. And then I had the real life apprenticeship where I got to be with the women right away, and I got to learn intimately the art of midwifery from the beginning. So it was a perfect companion and education style for me. And since we're talking about scopes of practices, we're going to be talking about education, and we're going to be talking about the services that these care providers offer. So I wanted to let you know who I am and my scope of practice and my care and my education. Let's get into this because it's really important. I really feel like it's important for us to not get locked into definitions, but when we understand definitions, it really helps us understand the roles of each one of our care providers that we're choosing from. So let's talk about the definition of midwife, the definition of obstetrician, and doula. Okay, so a midwife. A midwife, the word means with woman. Midwives are guardians and guides. They are with the woman throughout her pregnancy to help her make informed decisions, tough decisions, to help support her so she knows about what's happening with her body, with her baby, with her birth, right? Midwives provide professional services such as prenatal care, childbirth education, labor and birth support, postpartum, newborn, and breastfeeding care. And then lots of midwives also provide well woman care and gynecological care. Think of midwives as experts in normal, right? They support healthy, low-risk women have natural births, biological births. And so she can recognize the vast array of what normal is, and then if a woman goes from a normal parameter or a low-risk parameter to high risk, then she can elicit the next level of care. She can get care from a physician or obstetrician. So she recognizes normal and knows when it's not normal anymore and how to get the care that the client needs. And now an obstetrician, or an OB/GYN, an obstetrician, that word, the definition means standing by and waiting. So an obstetrician is a doctor, right? They specialize in pregnancy and childbirth and women's reproductive systems. And they work collaboratively with nurses, nurse midwives, physician's assistants, other physicians, anesthesiologists, right? They have a whole team. And actually, when you think about doctors, they generally work in hospitals and have hospital privileges. Some of them have smaller private practices. Some of them do attend home births, but that's pretty rare, at least in the United States. And they are experts technically in all types of birth, but they tend to be more of an expert in high-risk birth, in medicalized birth. They're trained surgeons. Actually, in their training, they have more training in surgery than they do in biological natural birth. So I want to highlight the word standing by and waiting. This is important because if you do have a hospital birth, you'll notice that the nurse will help you push, and she'll help you push the baby down until you almost see the head. The head is almost starting to be born. And then the OB will rush in and finish the job, right? And so what happens is they're holding true to the definition of their title. They stand by and wait till the absolute last moment that you absolutely need them, and then they come in and then they do their job. Okay? And now the doulas. Let's talk about doulas. So doulas are professional support people, and they are really wonderful at helping you think through your birth preferences, your desires. They're really good at helping you write your birth plan and support you for labor and birth and prepare your partner so your partner can be really active in the labor and in the birth. And they're really also incredibly helpful sometimes with your children at birth, or also postpartum after you've given birth. There's a whole group of postpartum doulas that can come and help you breastfeed and process your birth with you and process your birth story and help clear your house and get your food ready and just get your support system set up, right? So doulas are not medical professionals like midwives and obstetricians. They are super knowledgeable and compassionate, helpful people, and they tend to be really well networked in the birth community. So they're great resources for you for all things birth, like in all things related to natural parenting. And honestly, I want to highlight the doulas here. I kind of want to like boop, boop, prop them up, spotlight them, put them in the love seat, because they're frontline workers, meaning thrive in the places that they're needed most, right? You don't want to call them working in the trenches, but kind of they work in the trenches. And they're wonderful for the woman that wants a natural birth, but she's having a hospital birth. I mean, that's the hardest natural birth to have, is the one in the hospital. And so you need the support, right? And then shoot, maybe you don't want a natural birth. Maybe you want an epidural, but you still want to feel supported. You still want to be prepared. You still want to know what's going on. You still want your partner on the same page. You still want an effective birth plan. You still want a compassionate person to be with you, right? And so a doulas, they shine in the hospital births. And we all know that. right? But they also shine in birth center births because just like a hospital, if you're going to a busy birth center, prenatally, you're going to probably meet a different midwife in several of your prenatal visits, and then you're not sure which midwife is going to be on call when you go into labor, right? And if you're at this birth center and for whatever reason your birth needs to be transported or transferred to the hospital, depending on what's happening at the birth center, that midwife may or may not be able to stay with you. So, because like when she takes you to the hospital, at least you're in skilled hands that can take care of you. At the birth center, she's the one that needs to take care of whatever's happening there. So she might not be able to stay. She absolutely doesn't want to drop you off, but she might have to. And so if you have a doula, then you have that anchor. You have that support person that's with you no matter who attends your birth or where you give birth. And that's a real peace of mind, and that's a real security blanket that you have. And especially when you're giving birth, we need our people, right? And so doulas can be helpful also in home births, but speaking in my practice, my midwifery practice, I had a fairly small practice, meaning I would attend 1 to 4 births in a month. And so I had ample time to establish care and a relationship with my clients. And I rarely had 2 people in labor at the exact same time. What I mean by that is I would have a person that's like deep in labor, about to push their baby out, and then another woman starting labor. Sure, that happened a lot. But most of the time, didn't have 2 people pushing their babies out at the same time. And I didn't have to go to the hospital that much because I work with healthy, low-risk women, right? And then when I did, I certainly didn't drop them off. And I have to remember I had apprentices. And these apprentices were more than willing and more than capable to go and attend, to be all the places that I couldn't be. So doulas were helpful, but they weren't as critical in my practice as they are in the hospital and in the birth center. But every home birth practice is different, and the midwife's needs and the size of their practice is really different, okay? So I want to take a deep breath, and I'd like to hear from you because remember, this is a conversation. So put it in the comments. Did you know about the definitions of midwives and obstetricians and doulas? And are you planning on having a midwife or an obstetrician or a doula at your birth? Why? Why not? Let us know. Let's keep this conversation going. And here's the thing, like right now, I want to start to segue into talking about midwives and midwifery because I feel like that's the heart of this conversation. And I already told you the definition means with woman, but there is this challenge that we face as midwives is that there are several types of midwives with different scopes of practices, different skill sets, different protocols, and different offerings that we give to our women. And so it's important that you know the distinction. And it's confusing. Let me introduce myself to you and say, hey, I'm Maria. I'm going to shake my hand. I'm a labor and delivery nurse. You would know exactly what I do, which I'm not a labor and delivery nurse. You may have questions about my practice or questions about some details of my practice, but my title tells you specifically what to expect from me, right? That's not the case with midwives. I want to go a little bit deeper. Before I do, I want to remind all of you and all of us midwives that are listening that when I talk about midwives, and even though I'm going to put everybody on the spectrum, ways that they really have the birth experience they want to have. We need all types of midwives to step up and do play their role. Okay, let's start with the certified nurse midwife. Okay, the certified nurse a few of them work in the capacity of homebirth midwives. The vast majority work in hospitals and member centers. They are experts in normal labor and birth, and they work with healthy low-risk women. They have their contain or manage a caseload, and they typically, since I said they work in the hospital, they are, or especially